Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello to you and welcome back to the channel where you join me in the garage surrounded by Team Skittles at the moment. We've got the purple, the blue and orange and the bright yellow. The red edition Focus is currently back at home and of course the Inbound 2, the Ford GT and McLaren Senna coming very, very soon. Now today is a bit of a fuel for thought, an FFT, except I'm not actually driving anywhere at the moment. The weather outside is horrendous. It is of course winter time, but alas, there's something I'd like to talk to you about, which is which cars am I keeping? Which cars are forming part of what I'm kind of referring to as my permanent car collection? The Shmeemobiles that are truly special and have built up some big memories, and that means that they cement their spots in my heart for future keeping, to be part of the garage forever. So let's have a chat about this and talk more about running a supercar collection, what it's like, and some of the ins and outs. I think it goes without saying that YouTubers have a big habit of changing cars very, very quickly. Now I've been known to do that, of course. Some cars have arrived in the garage and have left shortly thereafter. For example, my Aston Martin Vantage Volante, the Porsche 911 GT3, but there's usually a reason. However, some cars are sticking around. So the McLaren, the 675 LT Spider, I've now owned that car for about 2.5 years. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, it's going to be epic to have that car and the Senna side by side in the garage, the two McLarens, and don't forget that the purple paintwork on that car has that metallic blue sparkle in the cerulean blue that's going to match with the Senna. Now the Vantage GT8, that's just coming up also to its 2nd anniversary, another car that I hold dear to my heart. It's such a unique specification, and I'm sure you saw the stories, the videos that Aston Martin let me film at the factory when the car was being built, even signing on the chassis, signing myself on the back of the driver's headrest, really making that a complete one-of-one, a personal car, doing the final inspection with Andy Palmer. Now more recently, we have the Heritage Edition Focus RS, but that continues on from my blue RS, then the red edition, and then the Heritage. So at this moment in time, that car only has about 400 miles on the clock. I guess I technically bought it back in May, but as I'm sure you remember, I only picked it up in September so that it could wear the 68 number plate. 68 because it's the 2018 50th anniversary of the 1968 Escort Mark I, the car that in Alan Mann Racing colours won the British Touring Car Championship back in that year, hence the Ford GT spec. So that's going to look epic when it arrives. And then the Amg Gt R that is now actually coming up, well, it's about a year and 2 months old, which has flown by. It's done a lot of miles. Of course, it's been to Rentec. It's now wrapped in yellow as opposed to the black paintwork. But again, lots and lots of adventures and memories. So these 4 cars behind me each have a slightly different story. I will, as I've told you before, confirm that the McLaren is not going anywhere in a hurry. The Aston Martin is not going anywhere in a hurry, and the Focus RS Heritage is not going anywhere in a hurry. The GTR will be changed to the GTR Pro. So I announced that the Amg Gt R Pro is hopefully going to be an addition to the Shmeemobile garage in 2019, but that means that the GTR is kind of going to be slightly redundant. I haven't decided at this stage whether I'm going to cross the Rentec mods over to the new car, whether I'm going to sell this as it is sometime soon and maybe have a stopgap in the interim, because I don't know when the new car might arrive, but probably towards the end of 2019, so 9 to 12 months from now. But I do love that car, I do daily drive it, but I always bought it thinking that at some point it would change. Like I told you in the GTR Pro video, I actually already put down my name for the GTR Pro, for a more hardcore version of the Amg Gt, before I actually picked that car up. I have a tendency of doing this to kind of guess what's coming and think about what I would like, because as you can tell, I quite like my more hardcore versions of cars. I've been through, you know, with the Vantage, I had the regular car. With the McLaren, I also had the 12C, the 650S, before the LT Coupe and the LT Spider. So these are cars which, to me, the ones I plan on keeping have really built up stories. Now, we don't obviously yet have the Ford GT and the Senna in the garage. You might have spotted that I'm wearing the Ford GT Heritage hoodie. We've got these available in t-shirts and hoodies now in the Shmee 150 shop, which I'm kind of loving to fill the gap until the car is here itself in the red and the gold. A couple of details, like the cool design with the wing up as well. I think that's a nice thing. Hope you guys like it too. You can find that with a link down below. Now that's, of course, on the horizon. The Ford GT will arrive. I think the delays are looking a little bit longer than I had hoped. Now the funny thing about that is it means that the Senna and the GT are basically going to arrive on each other's footsteps. I don't know which is going to be first. I think they might both be early in January, somewhere in January, but let's wait and see when they turn up. The GT has a few things that it needs to get sorted out before they can deliver it and hand it over to me and get it registered here in the UK. The whole process is a complete nightmare, but it will get there, it will be done, and the two cars will be here at some point not too far from now. So how will those cars cement their spots in the garage? What do they need to do? Well, to me, it's a couple of things, right? It's the rarity of the car in the first place, because at the end of the day, if you see 100 of them every time you go out anywhere, it's hard to really grow a complete exclusive bond to that car. These cars are spec'd in completely unique colour schemes. There is no other one like it. They're limited editions to begin with, 500 LT Spiders, plus a few other editions and prototypes and things, 150 GT8s, and 50 Heritage RSs. So they're not common cars. Mine are very specific to me, but also in the previous models that I owned, I built up those memories. You know, my first, I would say, proper sports car was the V8 Vantage, so I see that as almost a halo in the sports car world, and the GT8 is the ultimate incarnation of it. So I have those first ever road trips. The first time I ever went to Top Marks Monaco, I went in my V8 Vantage Roadster. So I have all of those trips in my mind, the sound that it makes, the feel of the car, and that's something that's so unique to each person, and in this case so special to me, that I always think that I can't really get away with it. And not only that, you'll never be able to buy a car like that again. A heavy old school feel, a massive amount of noise from the titanium exhaust, a naturally aspirated V8, just every factor that comes together, that makes the GT8 unique. Equally, the LT Spider, my first supercar, was the 12C, going to Cars and Coffee, taking it also to Top Marks, the Where's Schmee tours, then the next year with the 650S Spider, then the next year with the 675 LT Coupe, and then 18 months later with the 675 LT Spider. You might remember the trip I did to the Nürburgring, the first time I really spent time with Misha down at the ring, getting to know the car, and then Fuel Faction Aina, taking that thing down to the Bay of Kotor in Montenegro, down the coast in Croatia, to the Vršić Pass in Slovenia. The memories and adventures with it are just, they kind of cling to you. They're not something you easily let go. So that car has a very, very, very soft spot in my heart. Well, the Aston does too. And then the Heritage RS, I had 2 years with the blue RS at the beginning. I had it up in Scotland for ages, did a few trips with it. I did about 15,000 miles in the car, and now also with the red edition. Now the red edition is an interesting topic itself. I don't necessarily think that the red edition is going to stay forever. I think at some point that will move on, but obviously at the moment it's just fun using it as a massive, massive project, from the interior to the carbon exterior to the engine mods to all the work that's going on and being done to it. We'll see. Maybe because of all of this effort, I grow such a bond to it that I decide to keep the two Focus RSs. Of course, I have a bit of an attachment to Ford at the moment, and again, lots of discussion, of course, about the RSs just to get the GT, blah, blah, blah. It's completely disconnected. The Ford Performance angle, they are all full performance cars, but the GT is handled completely separately to the guys, the dealers that sell you an RS. It's just like a totally different thing and makes no impact at all either way. So there's none of that going on, despite everybody's, I guess, dreams that there might be some kind of story behind it. So the GT is going to arrive, the Senna is going to arrive. These are astronomically expensive cars. I am not going to lie. I never thought that when I filled in the application form for the GT in April 2016, and simultaneously I popped my name and letter in for a McLaren P15, what's turned out to be the Senna, I never thought that they would arrive at literally the same time. So there's a lot of paperwork behind the scenes to sort that out, and I'm working with Harrington Finance, who are helping me a big deal, of course, and I'll talk more about that in the future and as to how exactly it works and how the cars are arriving here in the garage. But I think I have this premonition right now that they are going to turn up like on adjacent days. One car's going to come and the Senna is going to be here the next day, and that's going to be a headache to have to work out and then get both cars to Topaz and then deal with everything. So we will see exactly how that translates. Now further down the line, I'm not going to lie, I've spent a disproportionate amount of my money on cars, but of course I do this for a living. I'm around cars every single day. I go on all these trips, I film content, and I get to share the stories with you guys, which I think you enjoy, of the ownership and buying experiences. So will both the Senna and the GT last forever? That I can't tell you at this stage. That would be the dream. Of course, ultimately I need to be very aware of the costs of them, what the the market does, what the values are, etc., etc. And ultimately, I might find, I hope not, but I might find I'm in a position where one of them will have to go. Now, at this stage, I wouldn't even begin to know which that will be. It's going to come down again to the memories with the cars, what I do with them, where I can take them, what I can use them for, and which really grabs my heartstrings. What do they like to live with? I mean, I've driven each car, but I've not owned each car. I don't know the full story. I know a bit about McLarens, I know a bit about Fords. I've owned cars from the manufacturers, but I've never owned an Ultimate Series. I've certainly never owned a Ford of that level. They've never made a car of that level. The new GT is about 4 times the price of the old GT, and they don't make cars very frequently. Like, when will the next GT arrive? It might be another 10 years, it might never happen again. So ultimately, that's a pretty special car, and you know I like stories. I've just talked about stories. So the heritage of the Ford GT, you know, the 1966 win, the reason my car will wear 66 on the number plate, it's the 50th anniversary car, just like Heritage RS is the 50th of the Escort, hence the colour scheme, hence this being in the red and gold. Basically, everything just kind of glues together and comes into this perfect story, perfect mishmash of reasons why that's such a special car. But then the Senna is cerulean blue. It's the return of MSO cerulean blue. You guys can crack out the shot glasses and play the drinking game again every time I say MSO cerulean blue in a video. So you look at the cars in the garage, the cars that will be the permanent ones, sometimes with some of the things on order coming next year, for example, the TVR Griffith. I can maybe see that being a permanent car because, again, one of 500 launch editions. Yes, there are delays behind it. They're having a lot of work getting that car off the ground to actually get it out, to get it completed, but it is improving as time goes by. You might have seen my recent update with Les Edgar where we went out in the car and we talked a little bit more about it. So the TVR Griffith will hopefully be one of those cars that takes a spot, but again, it will come down to specs, to the feeling of the car when it arrives, to what it's like, to what I do with it, to what I get to enjoy with it. So which cars am I keeping? I think for now, all the current 4. The GTR will roll out at some point during 2019. The Red Edition Focus will roll out at some point in a year or 2 or 3. I don't know. Maybe it takes longer. Maybe I keep it forever. Those 3 are all going to hang around. The Senna and the GT are certainly hanging around for minimum of a number of years. So lots of people have mentioned the fact that the Ford GT has this 24-month no sale agreement. And lots of people are like, oh, don't you have a problem with this? And no, I don't have a problem with this because I'm going to own that car. I'm going to travel the world with that car. I'm going to drive the nuts off that car because it's special. It deserves to be driven. So I don't really care. I'm not going to sell it within 2 years in any case. There is no scenario, unless I go completely bankrupt and have no choice, that that car is rolling out of the door. And right now, you're probably aware of Brexit, the UK and the European Union having a little fight together, which is causing complete carnage, certainly to my life as well. So on a lot of personal things, I have to sit back, just wait and see what happens and go with the flow. But in terms of the car market, right now, if you want to sell a car, particularly here in the UK, it is suicidal. They do not move. The prices have collapsed. The market is completely crashed on every brand, on every car. You can pick up a 720S for next to nothing. You can get a 488 for peanuts. You can get a Hurricane Performante for a massive discount. All of these cars, just the values are going nowhere because people don't want to put their money into cars. Financing is challenging at the moment because money isn't so readily available. Basically, it's not a good time in terms of the market. In terms of the cars I'm buying, many of the cars that I'm choosing to purchase are either going to be cars that are really special that I intend to keep, special editions, or they're going to be cars that I intend to use and put loads of miles on, like the GTR, and then eventually they'll find their way to a new home. But I hope during 2019 to do more of that with press cars, long-term loan cars, cars that come from manufacturers, which not only gives the opportunity to experience different cars as well, different brands, but also opens the doors to exclusive content. For example, like with the M5, when I went to the M Studio, BMW Individual, the driving experience centre in MySat, going around the factory plant in Dingolfing, basically getting to see behind the doors. So hopefully we can do that with some more brands, you know, the likes of Mercedes and Audi, and let's see what's possible. We're talking to everyone to try and open up those opportunities because I personally enjoy discovering and sharing that with you, and I think it gives a good fair view of the automotive industry in general to see all of the different brands. So back to the topic, the FFT, which cars am I keeping? I think I've pretty much answered that. Which cars coming in the future will I keep? Well, let's talk quickly. The AMG GT R Pro, when that arrives. The Pro, I don't know if there's going to be a Black Series after it or not. Loads of people talking about it. There's been an interview where Tobias Moores, the head of AMG, basically alluded that there might be It might not be called Black Series. In fact, about 12 months ago, I did a video about this, about the Black Series back last year, when that car was brand new. If there is, I would love to upgrade the GTR Pro then to the Black Series. If there isn't, then the GTR Pro maybe finds a permanent slot in the garage to stick around, depending what happens with it, because it kind of combines the memories from the GTR into the Pro. So it all comes together. It's a very personal thing, what defines which cars actually stay in the garage. And really, I like the bright colours, you know, that's what I'm going for here. The bright Team Skittles garage. We need to come up with a name for the crew, for all the cars together in their ludicrous colour schemes, but I don't know what that will be. We'll see in due course. Anyway, I've waffled on long enough. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Like I said, small delays again on the GT. I'll let you know when I know more, and I'll be back again to update you on that very soon. So thanks for watching. I'll see you then. Cheers.